Welcome back, Amanda. We appreciate it so much. The other part of our conversation, so we're going to pick up with part two and learn more from you. And I want to start by asking how, assuming your role of president and CEO of United Way of Greater Houston in the middle of a pandemic, how did that influence your own leadership and priorities?
Well, when I started, I thought I started in May of 2020, which, I naively thought at the time was the middle of the pandemic, which, we can all laugh at that now. But it absolutely, it impacted how I approached that role in so many ways. I would say on both a strategic and a tactical level. So strategically, there wasn't, I don't want to say better because it was not, there's not been really anything good about it, but what a powerful way for us to test our new strategic vision and see if we were headed in the right direction. Resounding yes on that front. And then from a tactical perspective, how do I step into a leadership role as, we have an incredible team here, but how do I get to know everyone in a virtual environment? Right. For an organization that's driven by workplace campaigns, how do we still make that happen when so many organizations are working remotely? And so I had the benefit of being part of this big group pivot and being able to walk in during that process. We use a cross-functional team approach in a lot of the bigger issues our organization faces, whether that's internally or externally. So I did so many Zoom meetings. I met with every single employee of our organization in small group meetings so I could get to know people a little bit better. Really tried to be creative into how I spent time with people because I am having to do it through a flat rectangle for most of the time. Our entire team got together and really on a dime pivoted to a virtual model for our community campaign work, which was fantastic. And one of the things we learned through that, and we're going to keep some of these practices going forward, is that we always had in-person events at different workplace campaigns and had great attendance, but being able to do these virtually and taking advantage of that opportunity to educate the community about the work we do, we had much higher attendance rates because it was just so much easier for people to join. Yes. And so one of the things I did want to nurture coming into the organization was that spirit of innovation. And again, when you've got something so disruptive, that is a great opportunity to really take that spirit of innovation and run with it. So I think that's helped our entire team think about how we do our work and how we can do it better over time.
I think that's so true. I think regardless of the organization, everyone has engaged in new and innovative thinking. And it's been interesting to see how through all the virtual exposure we've had, and certainly people learning to adopt to that, how it's eliminated boundaries. So let me get into something specifically of interest to you. And that is, I know that United Way's second century vision focuses on supporting high quality programs for those who are working but not able to afford even the basics. So we're talking food and childcare and a roof over their head and even transportation. So we know that in just the last 3 years, that has involved a good number of folks in the 4 regions that United Way looks at, or I'm sorry, the 4 counties that United Way looks at. So what impact has the pandemic had on that vision and United Way's commitment to the social service nonprofits that serve that population of clients?
It's absolutely galvanized that commitment, honestly. When you look back at what we saw during, when I say what we saw, it's talking like it's past tense. It's not, but what we've seen over the last 18 months with the pandemic, it's laid bare the inequities across our community. We know that COVID has impacted communities of color more strongly than other parts of our community. We know from our work, if you're looking at the ALICE data we use that's the foundation for a lot of our work, and that stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. people who are working hard and still having a hard time making ends meet. That tends to be different populations across the community, whether it's the Latinx or Black populations across the community. They tended to be more present there. So we saw that even more so over the last year and a half. We saw, which we already knew from our data, and there were some additional studies and data to back this up. We also saw that most of the families across our region didn't even have $400 or $500 saved up to help in the event of an emergency. And so that also galvanized our approach with second century vision. And when you think about what we're trying to achieve there, ultimately, we're trying to provide a place for everyone in our community to thrive. And what does that mean? For us, it's about ultimately financial stability. That is the core of our work. Having someone who doesn't have to call the 211 Texas United Way helpline to help with that food instability or rent. Being able to have a sustainable job with wraparound supports to make sure their kids are set up for academic success, and that they've got access to quality mental, physical, and behavioral health care services, and still making sure that safety net is there, because those journeys are never linear. So making sure those basic needs are taken care of, making sure that if somebody's stuck in a violent situation, they have a way to get out and get that supported. And so really bringing all of these amazing social service nonprofit sectors and other members of the community together in an integrated, holistic way to really make sure that journey is an integrated one for anybody who wants to be a part of it, and making sure they have full access to everything available to them. That's what we're pushing for. And that's the problem we're trying to solve. It's exactly what we saw unearthed during what we've seen in COVID.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it really shined an intense light on that. And, I feel like in general, United Way agencies are so solutions based, and that's in itself so exciting and optimistic towards what it is that you're looking to achieve. It's not just a handout. There's organizations that have such amazing services to not only help the populations that you're focused on recover now, but to build that sustainability that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there are times when, look, over the last year, there was a huge focus on basic needs, and that is where we needed to be.
Sure.
And with this vision going forward, that's still there, that safety net's still there, but we've got, across all these partners and programs, people have access to job certification, upskilling, reskilling programs, tax prep services, so they can actually get real money in their pocket when they get their tax returns in. Savings match programs, access to safe lending practices. If we have a disaster, you need a bridge, you can do it without having to fall victim to predatory lending practices. Programs like Bright Beginnings, where you can make sure your littles are ready for school when school comes, and making sure kids have quality out of time programming to ensure their academic success. And then again, as we've seen over the last year, physical, mental, behavioral health care, we all have to have access to this to make sure we can have healthy and bright futures.
Absolutely. Well, Amanda, you have a lot of work to do, and I'm so grateful that you gave me time for this conversation. Continued success to you in your now not so new role, and of course, continued success to United Way.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly. And thanks for all that you and your organization do to make sure that organizations can communicate powerfully about their purpose and their place in the world. It makes a difference in our community. Thank you.
And thank you, because that is our purpose as well. Thanks so much, Amanda.
Appreciate it.